Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is GZTV. We are back with another video, and you can see this is going to be one of the first videos we are going to be putting out during December, during the holiday season back at home. But we are here to talk about It Welcome to Derry, because a couple of hours ago, I just got done watching the 7th episode. I think it's called The Black Spot. That's what they called it. Going into episode 7, you know, coming off the 6th episode, you guys can go watch all of my reviews on this series. I was still pretty excited. Maybe not as hyped as I was going into episode 6 after the Pennywise reveal and after he made basically his full screen debut, but still expecting some major heat, still expecting a fantastic episode. We're kind of in the home stretch now. We're in the final 2 episodes of the season, of this timeline, because obviously there's 2 more seasons and they're going to go back and they're going to go to different eras of Derry. So I knew the show needed big moments, kills, revelations, and a continuation of Ingrid's storyline, given she's essentially Pennywise's daughter and she is becoming one of the most important characters in the entire series. I was a little concerned that the writers might fall back into confusing directions like they did earlier in this season, but this episode actually delivered its biggest and most intense sequence so far, and I think this is probably the best episode in the series. I'm gonna be honest, I think episode 5, 6, and 7, I think they got better. From brutal real-world horror to supernatural payoffs, episode 7 keeps the momentum alive and sets us up nicely for the finale. So with that being said, let's get into it. So getting into the premise, kind of what happens. Episode 7 opens with a 1908 flashback at the beginning showing Bob Gray, the original face Pennywise took, the original person performing as a clown at a carnival, and this is just insane lore. It is amazing. Again, we will get into some stuff in the good, the bad, the okay, kind of get into it. More specifically, this is just kind of what happened. We also meet his younger daughter Ingrid, giving us the clearest look yet at Pennywise's family and early mythology. Pennywise took over this guy basically. Back in 1962 though, all that happens. Bob Gray gets taken away and killed, and we don't know why. Killed by Pennywise, taken over, basically. We arrive at the Black Spot again. That's kind of a hangout that they've been teasing the whole season. Halloran's like, oh, look at this old military base. We can hang off base and drink and have fun. It's kind of a beloved music club and community hub in Derry is what it's becoming, especially for African Americans. It becomes the target of a brutal racist mob attack as the white supremacist Legion of White Decency, basically, traps the patrons inside, sets the place ablaze, and murders several people with the fire. Yeah, they kill them too. They fight through bullets, fire, and chaos, and Pennywise feeds off the terror, finally appearing in full form during the massacre. That's what he feeds off of. He uses racism and he uses massacres as a vessel to attack. And that's something I didn't necessarily understand at first about Pennywise, but now I get it. During the carnage, Rich Santos dies heroically while trying to save Marge, giving the episode one of its most emotional shocks. Meanwhile, you get to Dick Halloran. He's guided by supernatural visions. He manages to lead survivors out, continuing his strange psychic connection to the Deadlights, which are like the spirits or whatever. I don't know. I don't really understand the lore of the show all the way yet. I'm just kind of going off the dome. He has connection to Pennywise. He's like, Halloran. By the way, great acting by Bill Skarsgård. He's so fucking good as that character. So in the military storyline, we kind of get through all that, and then we get into the military. A long hidden pillar connected to Pennywise's cosmic imprisonment is discovered, suggesting the upcoming finale will dive deeper into the lore. The town's authorities bury the truth with a racist cover story, branding the massacre as an accidental fire, while the emotional and supernatural fallout spreads across Derry. That's kind of what happens. So getting into the good, I don't want to go into order, I guess I can, but like the Bob Gray Ingrid flashback is fucking phenomenal. This is one of the best moments of the entire series. They did their damn thing with this. Atmospheric, engaging, gorgeously shot. It was so awesome. Like, this took up, what, the first 10 or so minutes of the episode, and it was so intriguing. Seeing Skarsgård perform as a normal father, and then later on in the episode kind of looking back at it as he flips into Pennywise, that was amazing and bone-chilling. The red on black and white visuals were stunning. Peak. This was amazing. Great lore. Getting into the Black Spot massacre, how they actually executed it, I thought it was great. I thought that whole sequence was awesome. Was it waned on a little much? Sure. But again, I thought they did really good with this. Brutal, emotional, and devastating. It felt raw and grounded while still functioning as supernatural horror. The corruption of the police made it feel disturbingly real for the era, and we'll kind of get into the racial elements and stuff, and I'm not a huge fan of it. You guys can kind of understand. There are a couple bad things, I will say, and there's good and bad. Again, I'm trying this in my review where there's good and bad to things. It was really good though. Like, it genuinely felt dreadful. It genuinely felt like something bad was happening. Getting into Rich's death, this is probably one of the biggest moments of the entire show so far. Surprisingly emotional. I'm not going to say I was like on the verge of tears. I'm not going to say I was like sitting in my chair crying about this, but this was very fucking sad, especially considering his limited screen time so far. And sure, that would mean to some people like, yeah, you don't have much of an emotional connection to him, but I was really starting to like this kid, and right then and there, boom, they just take him out. His sacrifice was unique, meaningful, genuinely sad. sad. You don't often see the loser meet his high school crush, get in a relationship with her, and then have the opportunity to sacrifice his life and do it. It's crazy. This was one of the show's most effective character deaths, even if he wasn't a super major character. Dick Halloran kind of being the reluctant medium slash hero that this town kind of needs. I think his character has progressed quite well. Even though his origin is still unclear, it seems like when he was born, for some reason they found him able to be psychically manipulated or something, telekinesis, like some fucking 11 type shit. I don't know, that's basically what he is. His scenes work though. I think he's great. I mean, him rescuing survivors, breaking down, yelling at Hanlon, going through all sorts of emotional turmoil throughout the season, it all hits. He is one of the best characters. Again, like I've said in many reviews before, Chris Chalk really gets his chance here to break out as an actor. He's a standout character this season for sure. The pillar reveal, kind of getting into what happens with the military, it is a big step forward for kind of like the cosmic side, kind of like the supernatural, kind of like his connection to actual history with Pennywise. It now makes sense why these totems matter, of course. It sets up kind of like a player versus environment type of thing for the arc in the finale. I think there's really cool mythological implications to it. I think they manage that pretty well. I think the horror elements and the tone balancing as well is pretty good. More unsettling than scary, but still effective, and honestly at times like the unsettling, the disturbing stuff can be more effective than just jumping out at you and people screaming and shit like that. There's supernatural chaos with, you know, Dick Halloran feeling trapped in his mind, talking to these spirits and not knowing where to go. Someone gets decapitated. Pennywise emerging and being an absolute menace to society, and up until now I low-key forgot how big of a fucking evil motherfucker that guy was. All solid stuff. The Ingrid scene is one of the most chilling stylistic choices they've done, you know, where she's sitting there and he like opens the portal and she floats up in the air. Crazy stuff. This was really crazy. The whole portal with his mouth is wild. I think that was in the previous It shows and stuff. Getting to like the characters reacting to the trauma, kind of just the aftermath of the massacre. The emotions land. Rich's death hits more than anyone else's, of course. The survivors are shaken. The friendships feel real. All of the characters are starting to get closer to each other in light of a tragedy. So there you go. I think the effects and the gore are great. I think there's a very good balance, a really solid middle ground here where it's not too realistic to where it's kind of fucking gross and fucked up and you don't want to watch it, but it's not too goofy and fake and too sci-fi. I think they're getting a little better at kind of waning away from that Beetlejuice style effect and making it just a well-balanced thing. The decapitation was fucking awesome, by the way. The fire visuals were great. Anything with Pennywise in it was fucking phenomenal, which was a lot of the episode. Getting into the cover-up, like their decision to cover it up. Infuriating and obviously accurate for the era. I'm not like a civil rights activist. I'm not gonna black out my Instagram profile pic and like preach and stand on my fucking soapbox for you guys, but obviously that was like infuriating to see that in the show. And same thing like when you were watching like Monster with like Dahmer, that show. I think I might have reviewed that a while ago on this channel possibly. That actually happened, and that reflects like how accurate the show is. It makes Derry feel like a corrupt, broken place, not just something where weird shit's going on. Because for a while, honestly, they've fooled us by saying there's weird shit going on, when really it's a bunch of racist pieces of shit walking around. That's exactly what the mythology suggests. The final episode setup, just going into episode 8, I think they are doing really well at transitioning. Good momentum, tons of possibilities, anything could happen. You have the pillars, you have Ingrid's future with the show and how she's going to connect with Pennywise and what Pennywise's next move is going to be. What are they going to do to get Pennywise to terrorize them? The emotional fallout of the massacre, it all sets up a strong finale. That was a lot of good stuff. We're going to go with the mixed first. I want to start by talking about how kind of they handled the real historical themes, like the racism, the violence, kind of just the social commentary of it all, because I like where the show is going in terms of plot points. I think it is great, and it works in this episode, and they're not taking it too far, and they're not necessarily forcing it down your throats and making it the whole reason the show exists, even though to an extent Pennywise feeds off of racism is what they're trying to say, and that can be dumb. It's Pennywise. He's already been established in horror as one of the greats, so I'm fine with it, but there is a risk. They're starting to imply things. They're starting to hint at like over relying on the social commentary at the expense of Pennywise lore. It's definitely a delicate balance. They're definitely playing with fire here, if I'm going to be honest with you, but right now it works, which is why it's in the okay. The structure and the pacing, there are a few moments where I'm kind of iffy on. It is a strong episode overall. Again, it is probably my favorite in the series so far, but the final third kind of shifts abruptly. It is very weird. It's almost like they forced it. It's almost like the director was going through this episode and he's like, boom, let's go to this now. Going from massacre to pillar reveal to Native American mysticism in rapid succession. It's not bad. Again, it was a little segmented. It didn't feel like a smooth transition. It didn't feel like they were all connected. Weird stuff. Getting into the bad, again, they lean very heavily on the racism angle for this franchise. And again, maybe all along, maybe I've been missing something. Maybe I was like way too young when I was watching the original It films to be like, oh, this is about racism. Is it about about that the whole time? I don't know. I guess we can have kind of a discussion down in the comments. I don't know if it's up for interpretation, but the themes are important. They are. Again, racism, discrimination, social discrimination, prejudice, all of this stuff. These are very important topics that we talk about on the news and reality and how things happen, and people on social media kind of discuss what went wrong, what went right with the world, and all of these things. And art in general takes these events and takes these things, tries to express themselves and form an opinion pretty much subliminally. Like, I get that. It's very important to do that in art and do that in entertainment. But because it risks becoming a civil rights era drama instead of a supernatural horror story, I feel like this could be bad. If it overshadows Pennywise the Lord, that's a problem. If it starts to do that, again, most of this is rooted basically in the fear that this is going to happen. Again, just kind of adding on though, like Halloran's unclear origin, I will say, is still bad. I like his scenes, but like his abilities feel random and lack explanation. He's becoming magic because the plot needs him to be, which is kind of shaky writing. And again, maybe give him some flashbacks back to when he was a child. You've given flashbacks to all sorts of different characters. Why not do it for Halloran? That's all I have. Getting into the review, pull up the tier list. I was kind of debating with myself whether I think that episode 7 is one of the strongest episodes of the season. No, I think this is, like, after careful thought at this provoked out of me, this is easily the best episode of the season, I think. I didn't think it could get much better after episode 5, but here we are at episode 7, and it's great. The flashbacks, the massacre sequence, Pennywise's increasing presence, and him literally just becoming the big bad of the season now is awesome. Before, it was a lot of like the people in Derry being racist, being rude to others, and going in the burial grounds and breaking people's boundaries and their traditions and all this stuff, and lacking any regard or respect for anyone. And now I guess they see it as, hey, Pennywise is going to start feeding off this now and terrorize your people. And I think that's cool. There's an emotional character depth with Rich, there's cosmic lore revelations. They all come together to form a brutal, compelling, and thrilling hour of television. It's messy in a few places, sure. It doesn't go without its flaws, and the social horror angle might overshadow the clown at times, but overall, this episode delivers, propels the show into what should be a powerful finale. Again, I think the setup is looking really fucking good for the show. Great lore, great carnage, great emotional stakes, a little chaotic, again, and theme heavy at times, but a killer episode overall. I'm going to give this an 8.7 out of 10, and I am back home with my family basically for good, so me and my dad aren't missing a beat on this show. So when the season finale comes out, December 14th, literally like less than a week from today in terms of hours and shit, we will be there to watch it. But anyways, leave a like, comment, subscribe, go check out all the socials. We're doing our top 25 albums of the year as the daily content, so if you're not seeing regular content on YouTube, you can blame that as to why. Got the red lights in the back. We're fully into this franchise and series, so peace.